Hey guys, it's Abby and today I'm doing the Bookish Beginnings tag. So I've not been on Booktube too long, it's been somewhere between 4 and 6 months now. I have a really shit memory. So I'm still very much a Booktube beginner and I thought talking about my bookish beginnings would go quite well with that. So I have a list of 7 questions here down below. I've written them out and I'm going to go through them. And I will also link the original video down below along with the questions in case you want to do the tag yourself. Question 1 is tell us about books that you loved to read as a child. Now some of them are hidden behind other things, but I really loved Enid Blyton. I've got book 18 of The Famous Five here and book 1 of Malory Towers. I also loved St Clair's and I have all of the books from them. I never read The Secret Seven though. I don't know why, I just never had it. But I absolutely loved Enid Blyton's books. These look pretty much new and I don't know why because I would read through them, but these are a little more battered and more accurately represent how often I read them. I've read them all at least 10 times each. I read a lot as a child and like my parents would have had to buy every single child's book there was to keep up with my reading, so I reread many books. So yes, I absolutely loved Enid Blyton's works. I also really enjoyed reading historical fictions. Carrie's War by Nina Borden is one of them. Anything set in World War II really. I would read, as well as other sort of historical fictions. So here's a selection of the My Story books. Some of them are World War II. Yeah, this is The Trenches in World War One. This is A Mill Girl, a Victorian girl's diary, and this is First World War ambulance workers' diary. So none of these are actually World War II. There are some World War II ones, and there's also ones for Pompeii, things like that. I've always loved World War II, Ancient Rome, and Ancient Egypt. Those have been my favourite periods of history since I was a kid. There's various different books in that era. Question 2 is what is the first adult fiction you tried to read, or that you want to read if you're younger. I read a Katie Reich book. I borrowed it off of a friend of mine, so I don't actually know what it was called. Something to do with bones, but that's not very helpful with Katie Reich. So there was like something buried on an island, and there were people unburying these bones on the island. I don't know. I can't really remember. I was 15. My mum was not pleased when she found out that I was reading an adult book. She thought I was far too young. She really wasn't happy about that, and I didn't read any more adult books for like another 5 years. 4 years. Another 4 years after that I didn't read another adult book because my mum was so freaked out by it. I regret letting her know I read it. So that was my first foray into adult fiction. I really enjoyed it. 3.5 or 4 stars out of 5 as far as I can remember. It was like 6 years ago. So yeah, that was my first ever adult read. Question 3 is what was the first classic book that you read not because of school? And I read some kids classics and some adults classics that I'll say for this. The first kids classics that I didn't read for school, I think it's a toss-up between The Secret Garden and Heidi. I really loved both of them. I also read The Water Babies not long after, and my parents both find it really creepy, and I found it fine at the time, so now I'm worried about childhood me, and I think I need to go back and read it. But yeah, I think Heidi is the first one that I read, and I've always loved Heidi. It's always got a special place in my heart. I also read at a quite young age, now it's hidden behind things, Usborne has a Usborne has an abridged edition of Jane Eyre that's intended for kids, and my year 6 teacher, so when I was 10, 11, she recommended it to me at the Scholastic Book Fair that came around to school, so I grabbed it and I absolutely adored it. And I've since read the full version of Jane Eyre, and although that was a lot longer and a bit more difficult to get through, they actually summarised it really, really well in the abridged version. I was expecting various different points and maybe some more adult themes to crop up that I didn't recognise or remember. However, there weren't any. They handled the adult themes really well in the abridgedness, and it just worked really, really well and didn't take anything out of the story that you needed, whilst also making it short enough to let a 10-year-old read Jane Eyre. Tell us about a book that made you realise a new favourite genre or writing style. For me, that is Messenger of Fear by Michael Grant. These books, I can get them out, but it's awkward to get them back in. My shelves don't work. They're too fucking small. My room is tiny. You guys have seen all of my room. You can barely swing a cat. I don't think Tigger would be too pleased if I swung her around. So yeah, it's The Messenger of Fear by Michael Grant. This book is really dark and really gritty, and it's still YA, but it's also like death and destruction and gore, and apparently I like that. I am also concerned about myself, but apparently I really like that lately, and I sped through these two at a time where I was in a reading slump, so loved them. Question 5 is, what was the first literary prize winner that you read? And consciously that was, for God's sake, why do I hide all my books? It was The Power by Naomi Alderman, but it's not why I picked the book up. I just picked it up and it had the like Bailey's prize winner logo on it. There are various other books that I have read that have been prize winners, but I've never intended to read them as a prize winner. I've never done that. I've never looked at a book and went, ah yes, you won the Man Booker Prize, I will read you. It's something I'd like to do in the future, but currently my TBR is on the large side, and I don't need to be adding to it with books that I'm only reading for the sake of reading them because they've won a prize. So yeah, that's not been my thing so far. Question 6 is asking what the first piece of translated literature is that you've read, and for me it was Heidi. It was written by a Swiss woman, so it was written in German, Swiss German, and was translated into English. So as far as I'm aware, that's my first ever translated work of fiction. I have read others since then, and quite a few translated graphic novels, but that was my first ever one. And finally, question 7 is, tell us about why you started Booktube and what it was like to film and upload your first video. I had been watching Booktube for about 2 years, and I really loved it, and I did want to film videos before my first one, but it was hard. I have anxiety, as a lot of us on Booktube do, and I was constantly going through my head like, people are going to laugh at me. But no one really does. I mean, my best mates, 2 of my best mates here at my parents' home laughed at me, but we laugh at each other for everything, like it wasn't cruel laughter, and I've not had any like, yeah, I was expecting people to like laugh in my face and be like, what on earth are you doing? And I still don't really publicise it too much to people in my physical real life around me. But yeah, that's what stopped me from doing it. And then I went to the NYA Lit Fest, and that was held like in my university grounds, and I really loved it, and I had such a great time, and I wanted to talk about the different panels and all the books that I got and all the things that were like there and promoted and the authors that I met, and I just thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna make a video and I'm gonna upload it to YouTube. So even though I already owned the DSLR at the time, I took my iPhone, which has got a really shit camera, which is why my older videos are really shit. These ones are only kinda shit. I took my iPhone, which is currently going off, shut up, propped it up on the spinny chair that came in my uni room, and pinned a blanket that I had from South America up on the wall to hide the crap that I'd pinned on the corkboard, and just sat there and talked about the videos. And then I uploaded it, and then I was like, right, well, I've started, let's keep on going. And it's been somewhere between 4 and 6 months, I don't know. I'm really bad at keeping track of things, and I can't remember what month NYA Lit Fest was in. So it's been somewhere between 4 and 6 months since I started, and I really enjoy it. I still don't film when like my parents are home or when I'm with my boyfriend, because it's just kind of rude and they tend to make noise. So like, it's not like it's fully integrated into my life currently. I don't know if that will ever happen or not, but I really enjoy doing it. I've met some really great people at book signings and through this channel and my blog and Twitter and Instagram, and I have like a nice little online community of book people that I know I can talk to about books. Isn't that the best thing? So yeah, I was nervous as shit, but I'm really glad that I did it, and I'm glad that I'm keeping on doing it, and hopefully I can keep it up through my masters. So yeah, that's all the questions for the Bookish Beginnings tag. Like I said, they'll be down below along with a link to the original video. Thank you so much for watching me ramble about my childhood. It's been fun. Everything will be linked down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!